from addiction to substance and behaviour. My substance of addiction was alcohol, so I'm an alcoholic in recovery, one day at a time. And I could transfer my preferences or addictions into other behaviour, like work, relationships, collecting, people, places and things. A marketing person's dream, if you put it in front of me, I wanted it. Obsession, taking everything to extremes and wanting to be perfect myself, and never so, and never quite right with who I was. So why drink? Why did I drink in the first place? Well, I know the first drink did do the damage when I was a kid, and it was nobody's fault. I just picked it off a table and swigged it down, and it made me feel different. It made me feel relaxed. The fear went away. I felt happy, and I didn't fear, and that was the thing. I didn't fear, and I felt sleepy as well. So that first drink did change the way I felt, and really that's why we take alcohol in the first place. It's an end of day thing when we start, conviviality, to relax, take the edge off, and enjoy life, and make life feel better. It's still a fix, because if life is going well, why on earth would we want to drink in the first place? We talk about it being social, but for anybody who's prone to addiction or finds themselves an addict to anything, be it people, places, things, alcohol, drugs of whatever nature, food, we're all in the same boat. We get to a place where we cannot stop, and it's harming us, and it's self-harm. So self-will to stop doesn't seem to work, because it becomes an obsession. We measure everything to try and stop. And then, if we're lucky, we find a fellowship which can help us, which says, you don't have to control anything, all we need to do is let it go, realise where we've come from and what will make today work soberly, and that is understanding our emotions, our spiritual connection to now, and being as physically well as we possibly can be. And that fellowship for me excuse me, is Alcoholics Anonymous. So I am a fellow of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, just one of many, and many people share their experience, strength and hope, and I'm just one of them. It's just my story. I can't speak for AA, never want to, never can. It's full of unique, authentic people who speak for themselves where they choose, and anonymity is the sanctuary, similar to a doctor or a psychiatrist or a counsellor. It's a place to find the truth of who we are. And in the rooms of AA, anonymity is extremely important. It's actually paramount, because it means the fellowship keeps safe, where people can find the truth of who they are. And if we find the truth, we find our spiritual connection to living. It's not about religion, it's about being in reality. That's what spiritual is, the ability to cope with now. So we try and look for balance in each and every day. So what does AA do for me? Well, I share the AA preamble, which is the statement of intent, and then some of the readings. And meetings help me, and there's a 12-step action program to change our attitude and behaviour on a daily basis. That's it, 12 steps a day. All work if we work at them. So what is AA? This is the AA preamble, shared at every meeting, so whether you're a newcomer or an old timer, we hear it as many times as we go to meetings, hopefully. But do we hear it? No, not always, because our minds are shut down, and that's why we go to meetings, and that's to open our minds up again. So I share the preamble just to remind me of what AA does for me daily, and it goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And that's it. Desire to stop drinking is the reason to go, and we share our experience, strength and hope. often anonymously, or some people share openly. It's a choice. It's a choice for the individual how we do that. And the whole program is about enabling personal choice about how to be sober, unique, authentic people. And we have this one similarity: addiction and recovery. So, what do the daily reflections say today? This book. And it's all about step 4, and when we get help, and who help, and how. So, there were 2 people who started the fellowship, Bill and Bob, and they were married. And it's an acknowledgement, really. It says here, April 7th, a wide arc of gratitude. And speaking for Dr. Bob and myself, I gratefully declare that had it not been for our wives, Anne and Lois, neither of us would have lived to see AA's beginning. And that's all about, how do we actually get to a moment of clarity and be alive to have it? We need help. Am I capable of such generous tribute and gratitude to my wife, parents and friends, without whose support I might never... That's the bottles from the restaurant next door. I always mention that when they go off. It's the empties. Am I capable of such generous tribute and gratitude to my wife, parents and friends, without whose support I might never have survived to reach AA's doors? I will work on this and try to see the plan of my higher power is showing me which links our lives together. And, the higher power, whether it's God, a good conscience, the AA fellowship, a group of people you're trusting, your family, somebody who you turn to for help and support. We often realise that if we try to do it on our own, we're back into self-will, willpower, which leads to obsession with addicts like us, and then into self-will run riot, where we just cannot control it, and that's the big danger. And April for me is all about step 4, and in the 12 steps and 12 traditions, step 4 is all about a fearless moral inventory. And I was just reading a little bit from it earlier, and it's very interesting because everything sort of knits together quite well when we read literature and experience real life. And this paragraph or 2 reads like this from page 43, step 4, all about the moral inventory. We have also seen men and women who go power mad, who devote themselves to attempting to rule their fellows. These people often throw to the winds every chance for legitimate security and a happy family life. Whenever a human being becomes a battleground for the instincts, there can be no peace. In other words, our instincts go to extremes. And our feelings too. But that is not all of the danger. Every time a person imposes his instincts unreasonably upon others, unhappiness follows. If the pursuit of wealth tramples upon people who happen to be in the way, then anger, jealousy and revenge are likely to be aroused. If sex runs riot, there is a similar uproar. Demands made upon other people for too much attention, protection and love can only invite domination or revulsion in their protectors themselves. 2 emotions quite as unhealthy as the demands which evokes them. When an individual's desire for prestige becomes uncontrollable, whether in the sewing circle or at the international conference table, other people suffer and often revolt. This collision of instinct can produce anything from a cold snub to a blazing revolution. In these ways we are set in conflict not only with ourselves but with other people who have instincts too. So we don't exist on our own, and when we realise that we might be at extremes and in recovery, we say, hey, wait a minute, how am I feeling? Why? And what can I do? Because these feelings are really at extremes, and I'm reacting to somebody else's instincts, maybe. But it doesn't make it right. We just need to find a way forward, and we use the 12 steps to help us. So whenever those extremes are coming at me, the Serenity Prayer helps me on a daily basis. And that prayer to God or good conscience or a higher power of your choosing, authentic to you. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Really is good for today.